What's up YouTube, it's Gordon and Darren here from Two Bear Studios. We are in the studio and we are going to do a comparison of the GH5 and the GH5s.
So this weekend we've got a bit of a bigger shoot on and we have a lot of cameras around the house. We've got two of these guys, the GH5s.
Yep, so that's the one Darren's holding and the one we're shooting on at the moment. And I've also borrowed a GH5 standard model from work. So we thought we'd do a comparison of the two cameras, the GH5s to the GH5, and see what the differences are. We've used the GH5 for quite a while. We had that camera as probably our first professional camera after deciding to start taking this thing more seriously. And we used that camera for quite a while. I decided when it was time to stop renting a camera and actually buy a camera that I'll probably go for the upgraded version, and I went for the GH5s, which is that one there. So
we've been using the GH5s for about the last 12 months. It's a real workhorse of a camera.
It's been doing really, really well. It's actually been serving us as a great camera, and I don't regret the purchase of that camera by any means. It's definitely taken us a long way from where we were. So, we are not going to get technical here. We are not technical people. I'm not going to go into all the ins and outs and the sensor size and all that sort of stuff. All I'm going to say is that the GH5s, that one there, has got a 10.2 megapixel sensor, whereas the GH5 has actually got a 20.3, I think it is, I'll put it here, megapixel sensor. Now you'd think that the more megapixels makes for a better camera and a better shot. However, it's not the size of the sensor, it's how you use it. Dirty joke. Yeah. The GH5s, actually, each individual pixel is 1.96 times bigger than the pixels in the GH5. So obviously that means for a cleaner, crisper shot, and definitely better for those low light situations. It means you can bump up that ISO a lot more as well. So that's it for the technical side of things. I'm not going any more technical than that, I can guarantee you.
And I definitely not.
Alright, so we're going to go outside and actually give these cameras a test out in the real world. So we're actually going to see out there, well, actually not out in the yard because that's really exciting for you guys. So we're actually going to go out and head into the city, take some shots using the camera in different ways to see which one is going to perform better. So the main things we're going to look at are the IBIS, or the in-body stabilization. We're going to see what the difference is between the two cameras. Obviously,
Not the bin chicken.
not the bin chicken.
We're also going to test out the crop factor.
So we're going to see the differences between the two sensors and see how it actually affects the shot. So we're also going to go out later tonight, hopefully tonight or tomorrow night, depending on our shoot later today, and see how it goes with the ISO. See how far we can actually push the GH5s to actually get that before it starts getting grainy and unusable.
Lastly, we're going to test some slow motion shots.
So the GH5s can get up to 240 frames per second. I have tried it out before, it's not that fantastic, but it does do it. Whereas the GH5 can only get to about 120 frames per second. So we're going to just test out those two and just see how it looks and see whether it's actually worth using. Obviously both cameras are 4K cameras. Both cameras will shoot 4K 60 frames without a problem. Both cameras will also shoot 4K 24 frames per second at 10 bit. So that's fantastic for a camera that's, for a body that's about roughly $3 grand for the camera body here in Australia anyway. So really good cameras.
So let's get out of here and go shoot some footage.
See you soon.
Alrighty, so we've got Darren doing a test of the IBIS. He's running the GH5s. Alright, now Darren's going to be trying out the IBIS on the GH5. He is running a full cage and a battery grip, so it is going to make it a bit easier and a bit smoother for him. Alright, this is me doing the IBIS test on the GH5, once again with the battery grip and the with the battery grip and the full cage on it. Alrighty, now I'm doing the IBIS test on the GH5s. So in-body stabilization is doesn't exist in this camera, but it is turned on the lens, and there's no battery grip. All right, we're going to do a pan, just handheld. There's obviously no stabilization other than the IBIS. Alright guys, so we are here at the end of the Houghton Highway. It's over there. So just doing a bit of a vlog test. It is a bit windy, so I'm not sure how the audio is going to sound on this. That's a full arm's reach with the GH5. So we'll see how this looks in the camera. I can see I can keep cutting the head off because it's a little bit, yeah, I'm not using any sort of gimbal or any sort of gorilla pod, just using arm reach. I am running we are both running 12mm lens, so it shouldn't be too bad, about 24mm as a whole.
So I asked Gordon what to do and he went, vlog. So here I am, vlogging. So there's Gordon behind me. Attractive man he is. I really have nothing to say. There he is again.
Alright guys, so we have the GH5 and the GH5s both doing a crop factor test to see what the difference is in the crop. We do know that the GH5 is a slightly different crop to the GH5s, so let's see how big of a difference that is. We've got them as close to being on the same plane as we can, so they should be looking at the same thing. Two different tripods, but they are as close to the same height as we can as well. So. Alright guys, so we finished up here at the end of the Houghton Highway. It's not a bad little spot to film here. We've been here once or twice before. We've done tests, all the tests we want to do with the two cameras, so let's go home and put it through Premiere Pro and see how they all come out. Alright guys, so we are doing the ISO test. I've got both cameras set at an aperture of 2.8 and they're both set at 4K 24-bit and they're both set at 50 frames per second. So ISO is set at 400. As you can see, you can not see Darren at all. Wave over there so I can just see you. We have still got some ambient light coming from that direction, as you can see off the balcony. Alright guys, so I've just reset the ISO a little bit, so we're now running at ISO 800 on both cameras. All other settings are exactly the same. The GH5 is really struggling to see Darren on the display here. I'm starting to see a little bit more of Darren on the GH5s. Alright guys, so we've jumped up to ISO 1600. I'm starting to see Darren quite clearly now on the GH5s. He's still very dark on the GH5. Which is just on the monitor, and this is shot in Vlog, so obviously the colour's not that great anyway, so alrighty,
Darren is fighting with the Mozzies, so we're going to get this done as quickly as we can. We are now at ISO 3200, 3200. Once again, looking at the monitor, they are starting to look pretty similar actually. Be interesting to see how the quality of the footage from the GH5s coming along. Alright guys, so we are now at ISO 6400, 6400, and the image from the GH5s is looking pretty good still, once again on the monitor. The image from the GH5 colours are starting to look a little bit weird, considering it's in V-Log. So let's move on. Alright guys, so we're now at ISO 12,800. So that means the GH5 is now maxed out. It won't go any higher than 12,800, so we can't do any more comparison on that one. But the GH5s has still got a little bit of room to go. So image quality is looking okay on the screen here. Once again, it'll be interesting to see what it looks like when it gets into post. Alright guys, so we are now at ISO 25,600 on the GH5s. Down actually looks pretty bright and clear. It'll be interesting to see how this looks in Premiere Pro when we chuck it in. The GH5 is still sitting at 12,800. We are now maxed out on the GH5s. So this is as far as we're going to go. Let's take this into post and see how it looks. Alright guys, so it is the following week. I've just about finished editing the video. It actually comes out tonight, so I'm leaving this to the very last minute. So I thought I'd just jump on camera and just give a bit of a rundown of my thoughts and what came out of the side-by-side comparison between the GH5 and the GH5s. I'm pretty impressed with how well both cameras went, to be completely honest. There wasn't a great deal of difference between the two. Let's start with the IBIS. The IBIS being that the GH5 has got the in-body stabilization in the camera plus in the lens. Definitely made a big difference in the steadiness of the shots. The GH5s doesn't have the in-body stabilization in the camera body itself, which you can definitely notice that when you're walking with the camera shooting handheld. Good thing is I don't do a lot of handheld shooting. Most of my shooting's either done on a tripod like it is at the moment, or on my Ronin S gimbal. Although in saying that, I have started doing a lot of handheld work just recently, being lazy that I don't want to get the gimbal out. So I think the footage looks pretty good when I go handheld. When I do go handheld with my GH5, I have got the mic on top, I've got a handle on top, and I've generally got a side arm with my Shinobi Atomus Shinobi monitor as well. So it does add a little bit of extra weight to it, which does make life better when you're trying to do those nice steady handheld shots. And to be honest, by the time you chuck warp stabilization over it, it all looks pretty good in my opinion. So so going back to the IBIS side of things, or stabilization side of things, definitely the GH5 wins on that one, obviously because the GH5s doesn't have the stabilization. Not a big deal. And the ISO. Well, the ISO, I wasn't surprised that I could push the ISO further with the GH5s. It is designed to be able to push further. That's what the camera is designed for, is for those lower light situations. We did have it in a pretty extreme dark location when we were doing those shots, and the sun had set, and had set further than I expected it to, so it was actually darker than I expected. Would I push it the ISO on the GH5s to its maximum all the time? Definitely not. I don't think it's I don't think the footage is that good to be able to do it, especially when you start blowing it up on the bigger screens. So I would probably still stick with the ISO around that 3300. It seemed to be a nice clean, so 3500, sorry. It seemed to be a nice clean level, but it was still bright enough, but it wasn't adding too much noise to the shot. So that's where I would go, in my opinion. So all in all, guys, I'm really happy with the GH5 and the GH5s. They are both very, very, very good cameras. I do love I'm still very happy with my choice of the GH5s, and I'll stand by that choice every single day of the week. It's a great camera. Anyway guys, I'm going to leave it there. Hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, don't forget to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, let me know your thoughts. But that's it guys. Yeah, peace out. I can't reach the camera because it's all the way over there. So, covering the screen. See you guys.
cameras.